Greetings, everyone. I'm ambeshsingh, and today I have Jonas with me for the third episode of the Power Platform Community Tool series. In this episode, we'll talk about how to create and manage connections in the XrmToolBox. So let's move ahead. XrmToolBox is able to connect to any kind of the environments for Microsoft Dynamics CRM 2011 to the Microsoft 365 for customer engagement and the dataverse using one of the available connection methods. So a connection is generally required to use plugins inside the XRM Toolbox. If you open a plugin and a connection is not yet available, XRM Toolbox asks you to connect to an environment, but you can decide to connect to an environment on demand also by clicking on the connect button or using the button left bottom to the connection control. So what you can do on the top of that, like you can use the connection wizard to make a connection, Microsoft login control, or the certificates connection string, OAuth, MFA, multi-factor authentication, client ID, and the client secret combination with that.
Regarding the different types of how to connect,
Mhm.
I think you should actually read the documentation. Go to the xrmtoolbox.com/documentation. That's the easiest way to find how to do it actually.
True. And then we have a tons of operation available right now in the connection manager window. So we can create a new connection, update, clone or delete a connection. We can even update the password. We have tons of option available for the connection, as well as we can also work around the connection file. So we can create a new connection file. We can add any existing connection file. We can remove unselected connection list, and we can do a lot of options, which we will see right now in the demo. Then the last is when we move towards the demo. By this time, you already know that Max and Mia, our two personas who are a co-worker in the Contoso. Mia have a doubt that how to connect and manage the Dataverse connections. Max asked her to follow up the demo by Jonas, who will now exactly explain how to play around with the connections in the XRM toolbox. So over to you, Jonas.
Thanks, Ambish. I'm going to start my share and you'll see. And you know what, from last episode, you saw that when I started to just install the XRM Toolbox. So let's go on from that. And I have this shortcut right here right now. And we're all again, like I told you last episode, I'm using all the files in a specific place. So now I'm storing everything in my OneDrive. That's so better since actually this computer I'm using here right now when I'm recording this is my new computer, which means usually people, they just have to start from scratch. When you store everything in your OneDrive or any other place, then you can get started very much faster than that. Okay, so let's just have a look. I have my tools installed here and so on. And what we want to do, usually we just want to, hey, let's start something. And then we have to connect. Yeah, connect it. But there's nothing there. That's annoying. And then you have to go, okay, we should click the new. And we should choose which type. And we'll start a wizard here for it when you need to know what is the URL for the environment and so on. I'll actually go from the other way instead. I'll just cancel this and go to the configuration, manage connections. We see here, it's from the default folder. There's nothing in there. What I'll start with, since I'm using it on OneDrive, I can just say I could add another file of connections. You could also edit this one, or you could create a new one or delete it. But let me just add one that I already have. So I have here under my OneDrive, XTB environment. In this one, I have two files with the connections. I'll add this one. Now we say, wow, here there are a bunch of these here. And I can add another one. I'll get the wrap stuff. That's my own things. And in this one, I've actually using a specific icon for it. And so this could be updated in here. Move on, just select one of these and we'll get all this bunch of different buttons here and so on. From here, we can also add a connection. So add a connection and put it in the right folder, in the right of these files, connecting all of the connections. We can add it like this. Or edit this one and it will start in the same way as when I was starting to create it from scratch. And we can also clone it. I usually don't do that. Sometimes I need to delete it. And here, if we have changed the password for our account, we could just change it here. We can also actually find the full connection string. We can look at it here. And it's, of course, if there's a password, there is like a hard stash. But we see this is a very simple connection. So if I think this one is harder, we can look at this. Well, like this, you can use that. Maybe if you need it for your other development and so on, you can find it there. And then we have the things that are really fun to change colors. We need colors. We can say that this environment that I'm connecting to here is it for production. It should be really red backline, back color, and so on to know that, hey, don't do whatever else here, because in production environment, be careful. If we're in UAT or a test environment, we should select this one and it gets a yellow background, and we can set just a custom, and we can actually here select more details. I know that's not important for actually the toolbox we have, but it's good to have that and to actually use it to make it easy to know in which environment you're connected to. And what I really like is this one. You can select the browser's profile so that when I just can double click on the record or whatever, then it will open in the browser profile so that it's always logged in or so on. It saves a lot of time, it makes it easier. So I can just set from Chrome, and then I can select one of these browsers. So I really like that one. We can actually see more details about this connection to see everything, small things, big things, important things, and uninteresting. And we can also show these connections in which have been used latest. And also we can do this when you have this connection. I can actually add it to a new one file or folder. So we can set the name and just the path, and then actually I added some images as well for it. And when we see that, oh, this is Jonas default, I'm not using that so often, so let's just put it back into the default. So now it's in here instead. Like I said, default is always stored in the default folder as well. Usually I just delete that one instead, because I don't want to have any connections in the default folder. Let me just put this one back into mine. And so rather for the default, I start doing the delete. Since if I have connections in default, I don't really know what it is about. Anyway, now I have all my connections here. I can just close it, and I want to start something. I can just connect to something, and I can select put my connections here and put Jonas space. Now I get there. And here I am. And I guess that's it for how to use the connections. Is there anything more you have to ask for, Ambesh? Is there anything more I should say, and what are you missing? What didn't you know that I told you right now?
No, I think you almost covered everything in a very short point of time. So it is more on the developers or the makers also to just run through, work with that one, with all of the options what we have available in the XrmToolBox. The more they involve into that, the more option they will explore it, and then they get used to all this stuff. But yeah, in that note, I will just reshare my screen.
Yeah, as I usually said earlier, that there are more complex things about how to connect. Go to the documentation, xrmtoolbox.com/documentation. That will help you.
Yeah, definitely in that case. But yeah, thank you again, Jonas, for the lovely demo. And I would request audience to please subscribe to the channel, like and share the videos within the community. Also provide your feedback in the comment sections, or you can write a message either to Jonas or me over the LinkedIn that what episode you want to cover us. In the next episode, we will be talking that how to customize the XrmToolBox settings and reset the installation of XrmToolBox altogether if required. Till that, have a great time and happy learning. Thank you so much.
Take care.